let's do some real talking.
Get a little closer. Not too close.
Yeah, this is just close enough.
It's going to keep creeping up as the Q&A goes.
You'll be able to tell how comfortable or uncomfortable we are as we move forward and back throughout this event. And left, right. Hello, welcome to the Management Q&A. You can bring the lights on us down a little bit, just so we can see you all a little better. Perfect, thank you. We are here to answer any and all of your questions that you have that we are capable humanly of answering. There's mics down here, or if you have mobility issues or need a mic brought to you, just raise your hand and let us know, and we'll make sure one gets to you. But otherwise, unless anyone has any opening remarks.
No, thank you for your questions in advance.
I can say that, well, speaking for at least 3 of us, we've been having a wonderful time the entire cruise already. And I think I can say that for the 4th of us, that's not your fault if he didn't.
I've had a great 24 hours.
Tell us generally about next year plans.
The question is, just tell us generally about next year, JoCo Cruise 2026 and plans.
We're sailing out of San Diego. It's going to be on the New Amsterdam. There's going to be an amazing lineup of acts.
To be named as soon as we book them.
Can we say?
Yeah, well, I think it is safe to say, I mean, we are still working on, we have to speak to the right people and finalize things. So while we can't guarantee, we fully expect and plan to hold another land concert in Loretto.
Yeah, we're excited about that too. We love that place.
Yeah, and among the things that we had to do that we just got approved a week or 2 ago is we've extended our stay there till 1 a.m. We'll arrive a little bit later in Picholingue, La Paz, and we hope you can manage that hardship. So yeah, we're working towards that, and very much hope to make it happen. And we of course hope that for those of you who aren't familiar, the first 2 years we did as a charter, we did the West Coast and we traveled to this small town called Loretto and kind of took over their town square and had this wonderful...
With their permission.
Yeah, no. we didn't commandeer it or invade per se, but they set up their entire town square. We had a wonderful land concert, and the town threw a food festival that people still talk about, and we also very much hope and expect that something very similar will happen again in 2026.
Yeah, sort of the big reason we couldn't say anything about it is the person who helped us put it together down there. There's always this mysterious connection, this fellow who helped us with it, and we hadn't really talked with him for, I don't know, 6-7 years. Turns out he's still doing it, so we're on.
Yeah, he's sort of the Mr. Wolf of Loretto.
Yeah, amazing guy.
Otherwise, go right ahead.
Can you say anything about the questionnaire you sent out?
Yeah, we can. So, who here took the questionnaire about 2027 and beyond? For starters, incredible participation. Almost 1,600 people have responded. We're still getting a few every day, which is great.
Also, if for some reason any of you are not familiar with what we're talking about, we sent out a questionnaire to all of our mailing lists asking some questions about the options that are available to us and the choices we have to make for 2027 and to a degree beyond.
And by far, the loudest response was that if the community is there and I can afford it, I want to be there. And that's always been true. Beyond that, in preferences, it's honestly all over the map. And I know behind that question is, where are we going to sail from? And we still have not determined that. But there's certainly people who have strong preferences for one port or another. One of the biggest determiners of that, just statistically on the numbers, is what coast you live on. That was a pretty big shift. People, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest, do not want to go to Puerto Rico because it's a very long distance and would be very expensive. But we're going to analyze it in more detail. But in all, we feel like we really want to make sure we keep this to be as affordable as we can, while at the same time being mindful of people's particular preferences.
And as always, it's a our goal is not to please everybody because we can't, because people want different things. So it was really great to get this feedback from y'all because it gave us a sense of where everybody stands on these various issues and what your priorities are. And now it's up to us to try to figure out how best to meet as many of those priorities as we can.
And we don't make it sound like we're totally equivocating and getting defensive ahead of time. It is just, we really face a lot of competing concerns, and we understand that. I'd like to mention a couple of things while we are here that came out of that survey, because we've learned a few things as well in the same time span. For example, like, we were offering the options of, say, sailing out of Seattle or other alternate ports. At least as of right now, most of those for alternate port options for varying reasons are not going to be viable, certainly for 2017, much as we would like them to be.
2027.
Yeah, please.
I'll say, by far, across the board, the most popular thing that said, oh, I would be on that ship, was Alaska, no matter where you live. I'll say, last week we got a quote for Alaska. I'm not going to share the actual number, but it was almost twice as much as any other ship we could get.
Yeah, I mean, Alaska cruises are very, very popular as they are. So there's a reason you see almost no full ship charters on Alaskan cruises, put it that way. And the reason really is because the cost to charter a ship on one of those routings is extremely high, such that we would, without even looking at gaming out all the specifics, we know so many people would be priced out of attending JoCo Cruise. And it's not even a matter of our being able to cut costs on our end. Like, we'll just have lots fewer performers. Like, there's no really way to make an Alaska cruise thus far for us truly feasible. At least as the event that it, as a full ship charter and the things that we are able to present. Much as we would love to do it, it just doesn't seem to be a viable option.
And a general thing too, of course the ship is by far our largest expense, but the second largest one is actually our year-long staff, and that isn't going to scale up or down with any option. So that's one of the reasons why there's only so much we can do as far as itineraries.
Go ahead.
Storm just touched on what I was going to ask, which is how many people get paid to do this year-round? And how many people do you pay to do this for this week, like as a seasonal staff?
For year-round, we are management. We pay ourselves as management, and we have 5 part-time, full-time.
Four people on salary, and then an additional contractor who works with us very closely. And then there's a number of like professional services, accountants, attorneys. And then on board, I don't want to give the exact number, and I'm not sure that I know it, but it's when you look at the crew for production, for info desk, for our taking statistics around the ship, we're north of like 70 crew working on board.
And part of the cost on that, in a situation where we're sold out, is every cabin that's not part of retail inventory is basically an expense.
Yes, we have a lot of crew bunk up, but we've been able some years to split them, and I think they're going to be sad next year. It seems like
but it's a big machine, and when you come to the closing concert, we actually ask them to sort of, you'll see them parade past as we thank them all. That's literally the army of people that we assemble to help us put this thing on, especially during that last week.
All right. Your cruise has a bangin' playlist everywhere. Who curates that, and what's that all about?
Give it up for Storm.
Yes.
Thank you. And it's way back when I did DJ work, but more than that, of course, we all love music, and it's just trying to figure out what all of us here. We all love music, so that's why it's great. I spent way too much time this year on this year's playlist. I wanted to redo them. Actually, the reason I had to redo them was it runs off of Spotify for technical reasons, and I rage quit Spotify earlier in the year. I thought I had saved the playlist and I didn't. So,
Oh no, I didn't know that.
yes.
That's terrible.
So, but it worked out great. And even more than other years, I solicited ideas from within the staff, and Drew actually responded with some really great playlists, and I created a new one. By the way, the lists are Up, which is up tempo, Steady On, which is a massive list, which is you can use anytime, Chill, and then another chill list that we have from a friend, and then a new one which is called Smokes. And Drew had said, hey, it would be awesome to have just a list that you can kind of chill out in the back deck, and so a lot of what's on Smokes is a mix of what Drew had sent in and other things, and then just finding cool stuff.
It's for the bad kids who smoke on the back
Yeah,
deck.
it's a cool kids list.
Can we find these? Are they public?
I could post it. That means I'll have to make a brand new list next year. But we'll see if we can post the Spotify link. It means you'd have to use Spotify, but whatever.
This just reminded me of the first. I think it was our first charter year. We had playlists, but they were quickly assembled. And I remember that sometimes when we would eat in the dining room, we would put on the movie soundtrack one. And so you'd be eating, and it'd be like da 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 da. It was really weird.
Quick rises and dramatic stings while you're eating your pasta. It was a learning curve.
I will say, in terms of like yearbook style awards, Storm definitely gets most likely to rage quit a work essential tech platform.
I learned my lesson. Yeah, for now.
Hey, this is my first JoCo Cruise.
Welcome.
And I have been thoroughly impressed by how welcoming and safe and kind this whole group of people are. And I was curious, was that something did you have a plan to curate that or make it, or was it homegrown and just something that you were surprised by how absolutely awesome it is?
I mean, it's something that emerged from the community of people that we started with. We started with a group of about 300 people on a much larger ship, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like so much of what this group is and what this cruise is comes from the community itself, and we sort of listen to what people are saying and watch what they're doing and try to support it and create spaces for it. And it's very nice to hear, because that it is a really important component for us. We're very proud of that, both on your behalf, on behalf of the performers. I will say that performers are always remarking to me about what an incredibly generous crowd is here and supportive, and we can put really anybody in front of them, in front of you, and you will be supportive and wonderful for them. And even the ship staff, I can't tell you how many people come up to us who work on the ship who say, this is my favorite charter, and everyone here is so nice and kind and fun. And so yeah, I mean, I wish we could take credit for it being a sort of master plan.
Yes, thank you for bringing the lights down so Jonathan isn't saluting you for the next 45 minutes.
But it really just came from you, and we try to encourage it and support it, because now it feels like a really crucial part of what we do. So yeah, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you guys for putting this together. I really, really enjoy it, and it's something to inspire to. So
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning, and in these dark days, I always start with gratitude. Thank you guys, and thank you guys. As you can tell by the alcohol in my hand, not my first JoCo Cruise. Before 11 a.m. Oh my God. I have been so grateful for how you've reached out for feedback and actually taken it seriously. Lots of people send out surveys and they're like, oh yes. But what I'm really interested in knowing is how much do the recommendations for performers actually influence your decisions, because I know you work very hard to go out and see people in the wild, and I am so grateful for that. But what level of, hey, that's an interesting thing I've never heard about, it plays part?
It absolutely does play a part. And speaking as the person who has the main responsibility for programming, I do look on the feedback survey, and even when we just get emails, I make it a point to, if I'm not familiar with an artist someone has recommended, I make it a point to look at and view stuff of every single recommendation we get, because I have very certain preferences and context, and I always need to broaden that. So yeah, I can't even think of any specifics. Like I couldn't name you, oh, this person came on board specifically because a lot of cruisers recommended them, but so many people, between just like other performers recommending them or coming from the survey or where have you, like that's very important to me, because part of we were being asked this the other night by some of the performers, how we program and what sort of our criteria are, and it is such there's no hard math to it, because we like, we always like to bring back some people who've been favorites in the past. Some of them, we have a small handful of people who come pretty much every year, and then there's other people that we like to rotate through, but we also like to bring new performers that everyone would be familiar with, but also trying to find people who maybe most of the audience has never heard of, or even in a genre that you don't particularly listen to, and to sort of surprise people with talent.
Thank you.
Thank you. One specific example from last year, Sierra Hull, who is an incredibly talented mandolinist. When there's artists like that, and I will see them and I will think, cruisers don't know who they are, and they're gonna freaking love this. And luckily, we've gotten a lot of goodwill from many of our attendees, because we put this thing on sale long before we announce any performers for the most part. But it seems like people generally give us the benefit of the doubt and trust that whoever we choose to put in front of you, you may not love every single performer, but for the most part, they're going to have some appeal to most of you, and so that's how we try to approach it. And so I'm always open to those sorts of recommendations, whether or not I'm able to follow them. We always welcome them. So please feel free to keep doing so.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Good morning, and thanks for coming out here and listening to us and answering questions. And I hope this question doesn't make you guys move back away. You said just a couple of minutes ago, we all love music. We also all love reading. And I noticed that the ship's library looks like I look through the window, it looks like it's really been upgraded. Unfortunately, it's completely off limits. I didn't bring a hardback book with me. I was kind of counting on using the library. So my question is, why did you do that?
We, first of all, apologies. We have, the most valuable thing on a cruise ship is space. And we need a space for our team on board to have essentially an office area to work. And it was very, every year it's difficult finding where that space can be. And the math worked out as far as workable public spaces for public events that the library seemed to work out. And we actually this week, because it had come back, and for all I know it was you, but either way, you're maybe not the only person to have requested access to the books in the library. We were trying to find a way to make those books available elsewhere. Unfortunately, they have a very specific check-in, check-out process, and we weren't able to make those books available, unfortunately. So we are very sorry that we couldn't make that happen for you, but it's just sort of the math of trying to make that work. If we didn't take the library, we might have had to take one of the conference rooms, which gets used.
It's hard to believe that was the best option, but
yeah,
sure.
it's
And
a cascading effect.
I understand that you needed space. So I guess my second question, my lead-on question is, are you going to use that space again next year? And so I need to absolutely make sure I have physical books.
That's probably a safe bet. If you are not a Kindle user or similar to have some.
I wonder if we in the community could create some sort of lending library and have shelves.
Or like
That's a good idea. Take a book, leave a book.
Yeah, the world's largest front lawn tiny library.
Yeah.
Because we can probably find space where we can put our books. It was just a question of Holland America, because of the way they do their library system, they weren't able to do it on the fly.
So you are here witnessing the birth of probably a new element for JoCo Cruise 2026.
Oh, great. We got to hire another 10 people now.
Yeah. we're gonna take like 4 cabins, and just instead of people being able to buy them, it's gonna be a huge library.
I have a couple questions. Do you know how many or what percentage of people on this boat are newbies, have never been on a JoCo cruise before?
With great precision. but roughly 1/3 are new. And that's actually, I won't say that's where it should be, but when we started as a full ship charter in 2017, that year was 50%. And a lot of people were confused and walked away and then after that, that's when we really started to do things to actively welcome in new folks and have on-ramps. And it was trendy, it was still around like 30 to 50% until COVID, and then everything went weird. And now that's good, and it's great because we have a lot of fresh people who are new to it. Maybe you've only heard about it and are entering from a lot of different places and for a lot of different reasons.
Well,
and
I've talked to some of the people wearing the badges, and a lot of them, some people say that the big draw this year was
they might be
giants. Right. Also, a lot of people said that they were here because of a TikTok video they saw.
Yes.
Do you know what that video is?
That's almost certainly Meg's Tea Room. It was surprising. This has never happened to us like this, except for announcing a particular act. This was on last year's cruise. We invited a couple of folks that just seemed like they were compatible, kind of got it. Hate to use the word influencer, but that's the world, but in the world of books. And she was just able to capture what we do in this very great way, and it had an almost immediate effect. So, it's always hard for us to explain what we do. There's no elevator pitch, really, for JoCo Cruise. Come on the cruise and you'll find out what it is.
Yeah, our elevator pitch is a minute-long TikTok video, basically.
That video, it brought a lot of people on board, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, we're very grateful. Yeah.
And she's back on this year, so you can say hi to her.
And on the subject of new people on the cruise, as Jonathan said, I think we do what we can to foster the community here and to provide resources. But the kindness that you all show to each other, the positivity of this week, and the way that this community welcomes in new people and immediately incorporates them into a library of 10-year-old in-jokes that we came up with at the last minute is really beautiful. So thank you. Thanks to all of you for doing that, for making this such a positive, inclusive space.
And by far, more people come to JoCo Cruise directly through a friend, more than anything else. So thank you for telling your friends about this and sharing it with them, because that's the best way to make sure we have the people who are really going to appreciate, love, and get a lot out of the event. Thank you.
So the first thing I have is just to like everyone, thank you. Thank you specifically. My partner and I are both vegan, and we've been on 6 times now, and each time it seems like it's gotten a lot better, and this year is just fantastic. So thank you very much for that. Very appreciated. The question I had was regarding crafting. My partner is a huge crafter, was very excited at the extensive crafting schedule, has had difficulty sometimes like having to show up an hour early or more to possibly get in. Some of it I know was due to supplies. There were some limitations there, and that obviously the person who's doing it can only bring so much. Makes sense. But it seemed like the space was, well, I went up there. It's not, I was surprised it wasn't larger. I understand, obviously, based on the earlier discussion, space is at a premium. I was just surprised given that it seems like crafting is for me personally, I'm not big into crafting, I enjoy it, but it seems like it's a big part though on the community of the ship. And a number of people have talked about not being able to, or being discouraged from even trying based on this. Is there can anything be done?
Well, every year we take careful measurements of how many people are participating in which things, and that always goes into how we configure things in the future. And it's great to hear this feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, you're absolutely right that it's always. I mean, space is a premium, and we have to fit stuff in and not every space works for the same kind of event. So it's a real puzzle. But that feedback is important. And we have a whole team that goes around the ship with clickers and reports and all sorts of charts and graphs. So all that stuff does figure into our planning and will figure into our planning for next year. I can't speak to the specifics, but
I can say, for example, we try and work with the crafting team They have been trying to expand the number of classes that don't. Sometimes they have to take place in that space because it is set up such that if there are materials that are sticky or paint or things like that, there's only so many spaces we can put those events in. But things that aren't necessarily limited to that, they've expanded a few more where we'll be able to put it in like the main dining room where more people can attend and participate. Some of it is, as you say, sort of supplies limited and just the limits of being able to teach a certain number of people or whatever it is. Again, we are. This is not said in a scolding way. We are well aware of the fact that there is a great demand for crafting, certainly for the classes, more than we are currently able to accommodate. We're always trying to find ways to fix that. But as we say at the same time, if we're taking space for crafting, we are taking space away from some other element, and we're always trying to keep that balance. That said, you're not afraid to express your opinions, crafters, regarding availability, and that's wonderful, and keep doing so. But just also understand, to a certain point, there's only so much space. We're not a crafting cruise, let's say, at which point we could take everywhere. But we will continue to work to try and accommodate your needs and wants and requests, and we do appreciate your asking, and we apologize in advance to the extent we can't meet those. But believe me, you're not the first person, and we understand it. We wish we could expand that space up there by fourfold for you, but we'll continue to try and work to keep things.
Maybe permanently reclaim the Fox News thing that you took over for the simulcast.
Oh, yeah.
So that space could be used otherwise in the future.
Is there anyone, just to check to make sure, if there's anyone that needs the mic brought to them, please feel free to raise your hand, but otherwise we will keep going through the line here. Oh, so one over here. So right here, and then over there. Oh, see, this is the helpful nature of our JoCo Cruise attendees.
Hi, I'm Trey. I just wanted to say that the experiment was a success, and in the future, Jonathan, if you want to aboard halfway through the cruise.
Yeah, my plan worked.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw one quick thing out. If we're going to do a land concert next time, I understand the thing with the seating was weird last night, but some of us who are mobility impaired do enjoy to get right up against the stage, and kind of be in the pit. So,
sure.
If you could just remember that next year.
We do, for our land concerts, we usually do have an accessible area set up in that area. It wasn't sort of feasible for last night for various reasons here, but
exactly. I was just making sure it was that.
Yes, no, we absolutely bear. That's important to us as well. So that will certainly be a part of our planning for that event.
Okay,
thank you.
Hi there.
Hello.
I was going to point out about the Spotify playlist. If you get with me, I can export that out to Apple Music and a few other formats for people to share. So there is that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The other thing, I promise this is a question.
Did I just witness piracy being planned?
No.
No.
Not at sea.
No, this is all legal, I promise.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so this is my 13th sailing here.
Wow.
I missed the first one.
Mine too.
I don't know how else to put this, but prior to 2012, I had only been out of the evangelical church about 2 years. This community, this thing you've built, unironically has made me a better person. Year over year, it keeps teaching me new things. So I guess the question I have here is, those of us that have been around longer, is there ever a discussion or a wish list of things that you kind of wish the veterans would do that they're not currently doing to help?
It's a little noisy up here. What was the last part again? Is there anything we wish what?
That you wish the long-timers, the veterans that have been on the cruise, is there anything you wish that we could do to help out more than we are already doing so?
Honestly,
I don't think so, no.
I feel like you being here.
That's actually shocking.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you being here is is a huge part of it. And I mean, thank you for saying that. That's very meaningful to us.
It is the absolute truth.
Well, and that's just such a classic JoCo Cruise question. I paid to come on your vacation. I'm a very loyal customer. Because like, do you need anything though? Can I bring you coffee?
And it's a rare thing. Like we asked that question in all the surveys. Like, which cruises have you been on? How long? And it's wonderful to see that we have these cohorts, these traveling groups that have started in different years, that have been on different years, and it's that knitting together that both makes and retains what this is. So thank you.
Spread the word. That's always helpful. Bring people that you believe would love this community and be a part of this community.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, easily the best thing anyone here can do is telling your friends about the experience. Because again, we don't have a quick elevator pitch. We can't just say it's the Kiss Cruise. It's all about Kiss. It's about all these 80 different things. But the easily best way to sell it is your enthusiasm for the experience that you had. Another specific I could actually say, we always welcome, if you want to volunteer to be a helper during any year, Tara's team, and let's give it up for all of our volunteer helpers. We specifically request that like people who are on the cruise for the first time not be a helper, just because we want them to fully enjoy and experience the cruise. And understand the vibe. It's not that we don't think you're capable of doing it, but then if you come back for a return cruise, it is always welcome for people who've experienced it to be a helper. There's all sorts of roles and capacities you can fill. That is always certainly helpful as well. But otherwise, yeah, just keep being as wonderful as you are, and both on board and off. That means the world to us that people come back 13 times for this crazy thing.
And actually, a neat story on that. So Bill Corbett, a guest this year, he had not been on since, I think, 2012. And I asked him, like, what seems different to you? And he said, well, it's definitely different, but also the core of it's the same. And that the one big difference is now we are one ship, and we do not have another group. We're not a small part of a larger group. So it's that continuity that makes it happen.
And
thank you.
Oh, well, just just to jump in, I think like one of the crazy things about doing this is it's made us better people too. I mean,
absolutely.
Like, we've learned a lot from the community. There have been some times where our blind spots have really shown, and like the hearing from you and also getting to see the positivity and the like love of this week is. Yeah, I think it's really been pretty moving and it's changed us too. So, thanks.
So I think 2027 and beyond is kind of one big question. So if this seems like multiple small questions, it's part of that one big question. So the first is the list of options that you presented in the survey didn't mention Europe. I don't know if that's something that you eliminated early for the same reason that Alaska is not feasible, or if you were just concerned that like the airfare cost of the attendees would be so high.
Yeah, same thing. We didn't price Europe because we already knew from the past. And yeah, for sure, the airfare is actually a huge factor for a lot of people. So that's the sort of thing that maybe in the future we might do a smaller event, that kind of thing. But as far as JoCo Cruise, unless demand was 100 times larger, I can't imagine we'd be able to.
And then the second part of that is we have a good relationship with HAL. You're a very complicated charter, and they have a charter department that is capable of dealing with that, but you also have specific requirements you want to meet on boat size, and there are only so many boats that HAL has that fit that. Have you looked at, do you get sort of an in with the other members of, say, the Carnival group, like Princess or like Carnival themselves, in terms of running charters from having run with HAL, or do those departments not mix? Or had you considered, potentially maybe further out than 2027 because you have to plan far ahead? I know that MSC's Musica class ships have a 2,500 capacity for passengers and 1,200 plus capacity for their theater, so that is the sweet spot that you like for being able to do red team and gold team. But you have no history of running a charter with them, so I don't know had you considered that, if where Holland America is deploying their ships doesn't work out for you, would you have to change lines or just?
Yeah, I mean, all of these options are on the table, and I mean, you said it yourself. It's the what we do is so complicated. I mean, this is the most complicated charter that they see. I mean, there's so many charters where it's just like you show up and there are a bunch of blues bands playing, and that's it, and that's the plan, And I'm really jealous of the people who run that because that seems very easy.
If for no other reason, they've got an easy answer when somebody asks, what kind of cruise is it?
And so because we have taken on as our goal to have this complex, beautiful, ever-evolving thing, when we get feedback about this space is not working for us, we need more room for this, there's this new thing that we want to do, what happens over time is we have sort of evolved to fit the shape of this container, not perfectly, but pretty tightly. And so to move to absolutely, we consider that when we look at options. But to move to a different ship shape within Holland America would completely sort of wipe the chessboard clean, and we have to sort of redo that puzzle, which is not to say that we wouldn't want to do it, but it's one of the factors that makes that not as easy a thing to just do. Because we feel like we are caretakers of this thing, and if we were to blithely say, well, that's a much better solution, and then we discover that, oh, well, now we've really screwed over the crafting people because now we don't have a space. We don't want to end up in that kind of situation. So we have to just proceed carefully in that direction. But yeah, that's absolutely part of what we think about.
And there's also a huge risk, especially to going up in size. So the New Amsterdam is around 2,100 passengers. Even if we're to stay on Holland America, and this is one of the options we're looking at, is going up to the next size, which is about 2,600. That would be a massive risk. That's about 30% more. We don't know, 2026 bookings are going great, but we don't know how much of that this is going to be a special year. I'm going to make an exception and come 2 years in a row. We almost got wiped out in 2018 because so many people came from 2017. We thought, great, we made it, and there was a retraction. So with the larger ship, it's a risk because we have to either decide, okay, let's lower the price to get more people on, but if we do that and don't hit our numbers, we're gone. If we say, okay, let's count on having fewer people and raise the price, then we might price out too many people and we're gone. So we have to have a very firm sense of what the demand is, and there's never a clear answer on that.
And of course, by the time you see that bookings are going good, it's too late to pick a bigger ship.
That's right, exactly.
Because we're doing this 18 months to 2 years in advance.
Right, and I guess we're all thinking of like, oh man, 2 years is a long time in advance to be planning this, but like it takes 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question about welcoming new cruisers into our community. Every year, the Kraken Post and the Makers Exchange are some of the highlights of my cruise, and I know it is for everyone else who participates. The problem is those two events require prior signups because a lot of people like to personalize their Makers Exchange gifts and make them really awesome and personal. And Kraken Post, you have to not overwhelm people with how many gifts they have to give, so teams are assigned. And Meg's Drinkwater does an absolutely amazing job setting this up. The problem is, unless you're in the right corner of Facebook or maybe the Discord or somewhere, it's hard to know about those signups. And I'm really hoping that in the future we can have a call out for certain shadow events that are like, hey, if you're interested in this, you need to sign up ahead of time. Look for it.
That's a fair question. On the one hand, we don't want to start showing favoritism to some shadow events and then not others, because people would rightfully have a complaint that, why are you highlighting their thing? I want my thing to be popular. Why don't you call it out in your email as well? But that said, some of these events like Kraken Post are extremely popular, and we want them to be known. I think there's probably a way we can, at the very least, point people towards more clearly towards those ends of things without incorporating them as official events.
Well, and I think one thing I'm thinking might be possible is like if a new cruiser section or like new cruiser resources piece was in the wiki, like that could be something one place we could highlight.
That would be wonderful. And if you could like point out in one of your official emails, there are shadow events you can sign up for.
Yeah.
Here's where you go to sign up for them.
Yeah, we can be more clear as we point
wonderful.
people to their Facebook group or to the Discord. Some of those specific reasons they can go to there, other than just meet other people. That's entirely a fair question. And please, we will remember this. But also, when you fill out your post-cruise survey, which we send out to everyone, please make sure to mention that in the comments, just so we have backup on that. But that is an absolutely valid request. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I'm making a note. I'm not texting.
I want to start to ask, was she the opening band? Because she said hi.
She waved.
I have a few notes. Just starting with, welcome back, Jonathan. I'm sorry you missed the boat. You got there too late and you had to join us in Puerto Rico.
Yes, thank you. Very happy to be back.
What was I going to say about that? I've got a note that I don't understand. And I only wrote it 2 minutes ago. Complicated. You keep speaking about how complicated it is to run this event. That's Jonathan's fault. He said yes back in 2011.
Agreed. This is true. I take all responsibility.
Believe me, we blame him every day in many ways.
Yes, they do.
I also found that the social media ads were great as a former or a multi cruiser on JoCo Cruise. I got worried that it shows up in my Facebook feed like every other ad in there, which isn't your fault. It's the algorithm. I know that. But I got worried that it was going to change the vibes of all these people seeing it and saying, I'm going to join. I do want to say, didn't change the vibe. I love the people and I love the new cruisers I've met.
That's great to hear.
And a shout out specifically to Storm, who has been helping with our whole social media team.
Yes, and I want to pass that shout out to Sarah Compton, who runs all of our socials. She does an amazing job, and that's the goal, is to not just be putting out ads to get anybody, but to make sure our people find us.
I did have a first timer yesterday. I was sitting with at dinner, said she saw it come across her TikTok and said, I don't understand it, but it looks like it's for me. And she's here and having a great time.
Awesome. Love that.
And every new cruiser I spoke with seems to be really happy to be here.
Excellent.
The Kraken Post comment that was made about getting the word out better, and I completely understand that it's a shadow event, and the shadow event people have to do this. One of the things when you mention the wiki is to be sure that people are aware of the Facebook communities that are created. There's a 2025 and there's already a 2026 community. And Megs makes sure she posts in there. The issue with her post is, not an issue, isn't the right word, but she puts it out with a Google Doc. It's a different doc every year. It's a different doc, every time she needs to make a new doc for it. So, it's not something that can go in the wiki and say, hey, go to this site and find out this. It happens to change every year. But one of the things to definitely point out is to make sure everybody knows that there are multiple communities for the JoCo groups in Facebook.
Absolutely.
And I use Facebook because I have the JoCo groups on there. I open my Facebook and I go through all the groups, and I say, yeah, I'm done, and I go on about my life. In addition, we might want to point out that the wiki that's there for JoCo is relatively new.
Yes.
And is still building, so we need to all be aware that if you got an idea of what you want in it, get the word out and it'll get there. The art director on board this ship.
Brother, stop scribbling. Let's go.
And take it easy.
I got notes. And
we're gonna.
And I just want to point out, it's not brother, it's sister. Thank you.
So we want to make sure we have time for others, but
I understand,
and
I didn't plan to go this far.
That's okay.
But the art director was very confused. He insisted to me that Jonathan Colton was here all week. He opened up the first week of the show.
Oh, good. That means we fooled him.
Yes, we definitely fooled. that was the last of my notes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that's very, very good points about the wiki and pointing people to all the various resources we have. We absolutely encourage that. Thank you
And
very
I
much.
very much enjoy this every year.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
Hello.
12-year veteran.
Could you bend the microphone down just a little bit towards you? Get a little closer. There you go.
I don't know anything about these things. I am incredibly,
Yep, you're good.
incredibly shy, so.
That's okay. Sorry.
No.
Me too.
Lending Library. We are a community of solutions. On the 11th floor, there is all kinds of shelves that just says Holland America decor on them. That if the Holland America decor went away, we could start the Lending Library in an hour.
That was already here in my brain.
Yeah, great.
We will gladly make signs and put them up there. I would donate books myself, but I am a Kindle girl, so I can't do that. But
Just put your device up there. What could go wrong?
I'll just username, password, it'll be great.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure no problem.
Social security number too, and if you have some credit card info.
Exactly. If anyone, if we can do,
We need to talk with Holland America because whenever we want to use some of their space, we want to make sure that we're not stepping on toes, so to speak. So
Okay.
even if we're not able to put it together this year, this is a fabulous idea. If we're able to make something happen, we will try and get some announcements out about it.
Okay.
But thank you. Yeah, that's excellent. See, we don't need to be here anymore. They seem to be able to just handle this.
We will do it ourselves. But yeah, just we can make signage or whatever. Just let us know if we can do it, and we will make it happen.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you for stepping forward with that.
I believe the crafters will be crocheting a shelving unit in the next floor.
Book cozies for everybody.
If it was possible to 3D print on this moving ship, it would be happening right now. So.
Thank you.
Book hammocks. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to say I had a couple of issues with booking online when booking opened, and whoever was behind the other end of the computer got back to me within 15 minutes every time, bounced back, fixed my issues, part of which were my fault, part of which were just general IT stuff. And I really appreciate that. Very helpful, very prompt. And I heard that you guys were all doing it from like the Hudson room on board the ship, so you were doing it with no internet, so I don't know how you managed it.
Well, we had internet.
But for values of internet. Second of all, this is for like, thank you everybody here. I said to my friends back home, you know, I'm going to go on this cruise, I'm going to be masked 18 hours a day, it's going to kind of suck, but you know, the best thing in the world is the fact that absolutely no one will blink at the fact that I'm masked 18 hours a day, you know, unlike real life. Like, nobody says, are you scared? Why are you scared? What's wrong with you? Like, no, everyone's like, hey, mask, no problem. Do I need a mask? Okay, no problem. Third of all, I really like the morning show, but every single time I turn the TV on, it starts, and it is driving me slowly mad. So could we please have that? I know it's
Maybe
probably
muted
it's
on
probably
the autoplay.
That's a good note. That's a very good note.
Yeah,
Thank
if
you.
it could be something that you would deliberately go to instead of having every single time.
We've been learning a lot about the ship's on-demand system this year, and about things we thought we knew about it are not exactly true. And that is a very good note. I've noticed that it does that as well. So.
Thank you. Weirdly, it does not do that on my sister's in her stateroom. So who knows?
You got one of the special TVs.
I got one of the special TVs. Yes.
And to your earlier point about the customer service inbox, you know, we are a small team, as I said. It's 4 year-round employees and then a year-round contractor. We got Anna and Tara are mostly the inbox. So, you know, thank you for. Yeah, you know, and they are great. So thank you to Tara and Anna, and to the whole team. We couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, we do not use AI, so it's people.
And also, while we're shouting out, we debuted a brand new booking engine for 2026. Drew and his team had been working for an extremely long time to make build a better booking engine, and we could not be prouder of the results that he's got. And we thank you all for sort of semi-beta testing it for us. We learned a lot there too. So we have time for whoever is remaining in line. You can stay in line. If you're still in line, stay there and vote. But yeah, let's keep going.
Hi. You've alluded to this already, and if much of my question has already been asked, I came in late. Let me know and I'll watch Angela's recording later. Obviously, things are getting more logistically complicated, as evidenced by the survey that went out. It's logistically more complicated for us, so my flights down here were more expensive than the cruise. So I can only imagine how much you're feeling it, if I'm feeling it to that extent. I guess the question is, how quintessential is the ship to the experience for you? I know the idea of land cruise has been kicked around in the past. Is that something you revisit from time to time and look at logistically? Is it a dead issue? Is it ship or nothing?
By no means a dead issue, but it's such a different beast in every way, from staffing to expenses and budgets to programming to vibe to pricing. It's so hugely different that
more different than you would think too.
Yeah. And again, it's such a. I just want to say we're all really sad and angry about the state of the world, and it is heartbreaking. In particular, the feelings around Florida and the hostility toward the LGBTQ plus community from the administration is unconscionable and awful. So we are really struggling with how best to serve this community, and we have heard from people, I will never sail out of Florida, I will never set foot in the state of Florida again. We've heard from people to say, I can't go if it's on the West Coast because it'll be too expensive for me. We've heard people say, I live in Florida and I really want you to sail out of here because bring the fight here, bring this event here, we need this. So, I think our main, for me, my main thing is that I want to keep this thing going. I want to be here to serve this community in the way that we can. And so we are, above all, I think, we don't want to ruin this thing because we want it to be here for you and for us. So that is our fundamental motivation whenever we think about these things. So, I'm sorry, that's not the question you asked at all. But
it's a shared sentiment for all.
No, but as a way of answering it, yeah, land cruise would be fun and would be its own thing, and I hope we can do something like that someday. But we would never just blithely sort of like make that turn because it's a very hard turn, and it's so important that to us and I think to you that this thing exists, and that's our main thing that we want to keep going.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Krista. I have forced my barbershop tag booklets on several of you several times, I know, but I just wanted to point out / make a comment / suggestion / hear your thoughts. I'm part of the Barbershop Harmony Society, and one thing that we do at our international conventions that's really special is have a group sing of the song Keep the Whole World Singing, which is like the anthem of the Barbershop Harmony Society. And at the end of the convention, there's like 5,000 people that are singing this song in 4-part harmony. And I know that it's an extremely special experience for a lot of people. And granted the number of musicians on this cruise and the number of attendees that I see at my event, it seems like it might be fun to have some sort of like a cappella sing at some point that would be involving like the whole audience in one of these main stage shows. So just putting that in your heads, and maybe what are your opinions on something like that in the future?
Well, you are talking to 4 veteran a cappella singers.
Yeah, and Jonathan did write a cruise alma mater this year, so
That's true. I'm not sure my arrangement is super great, but
it's
please
not
improve upon it if you will.
And it's not a cappella, but we do have a similar tradition in the final concert where we sing John B, Sloop John B, which is kind of
that seemed to have evolved organically as kind of an unofficial final anthem for the cruise, so it's in the same spirit, certainly, if nothing else. But thank you for the suggestion. It's important. Thank you.
As what you do becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and maybe you would get that dream, right? If you went up 500 people to the next ship, maybe it would all come true and everybody would sign up. How much do you worry internally as a team about blowing up your spots, so to speak, and becoming actually mainstream, God forbid, right? Like, is that a concern?
I've been in this business for a long time. There's no danger of me becoming mainstream.
Okay, good.
Don't worry. That ship has sailed, as it were.
And that's why we worry about scaling up, is we don't want to grow just for the sake of growth. Like, we want to make sure it's this and the right people talking about the concern that if we're advertising, we're just going to get a bunch of people that want a drinking party, and so if we scale up, it's because we know it's going to work.
Yeah, before the world blew up in 8 different ways, it had been kind of our hope eventually to do what a number of other charters that we're familiar with do, where they would have one sailing from the East Coast at one part of the year, and then one sailing from the West Coast on the other, and do kind of 2 ships per year. And if we were hoping, and we seem to be on the path for that level of demand, then of course COVID and the world turning to shit in 8 ways. We're still sort of rebuilding from that. That is still, we felt like sort of the most valid way to maintain the integrity of the event, but also being able to share it with more people and giving people those options. Maybe that's a direction we'll be going in, but again, like as far as like blowing up, we're never going to like try and charter a 6,000 person ship.
You don't want to be an A-lister.
No, thank you.
Okay, good.
What are you going to do with that kind of money? I don't know.
What a drag.
Well, since you are A-listers on this cruise, and I know that's such a weird experience for you, like, since everybody here recognizes you, right? Are you ever feeling alienated or othered, or like you can't walk down the hallway on your own cruise ship charter? Like, how does that work?
No, people in my life ask me when they find out I do a cruise, they're like, oh my God, you must hate it. And I'm like, no, it's great because there's something, I always try to explain this, but there's something about, well, usually I'm here for the whole week. When people know I'm here for the whole week, it's kind of like after 24 hours, it's like they've seen me in the Lido 10 times. And they're like, oh, hey, JoCo. And it's totally cool. It's actually among listen, I'm not that very famous. I don't really need to deal with this problem. But among the situations where I'm in a concentrated group of people who know who I am, this is by far the most comfortable because everybody is chill and kind and respectful of boundaries. And it's great. I always feel great here.
We're running a little long. This is our last question before they start announcing disembark, but thank you. Go ahead.
I'll go very quick then.
Could you get a little closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
I'll go quick. Like previous people said, the Red and Gold team system's awesome. You are an A-lister on this cruise, so I'm just kind of curious. Why don't you consider yourself a main show? Like, I think you're selling yourself short, and also I think I'm a little worried. Like, are we all going to be able to get in here tonight?
Are you talking about my show?
Oh,
yes, yeah.
Again, that's a lot of that is sort of the logistics of the cruise working. This is a good question. There have been numerous years where Jonathan's full band show has been part of a main concert. We have found over the years that when we program every single day with a main concert, the people are a little more tired. We try to give everyone sort of an evening off, so to speak, to relax a little bit from that pace. And the easiest thing to do on our end, sort of programming wise, was for Jonathan's show to be the full band show to be a one-off. The thinking being, when he's here all week, usually people have numerous opportunities to see him. And
I do an acoustic set as part of the last show as well, so that's the other theory. And last year it worked out.
Yeah, and it seems like the numbers based on some previous years, it seemed like essentially everyone who would want to attend the show could get into it. Hopefully that will be the case again this year. But that's sort of the thinking behind that, generally speaking. That's why tonight it's just some one-off shows rather than a main concert. But it's not because we think you're getting too big for your britches and we want to take you down a peg.
A little bit.
Thank you so much. This is genuinely, thank you everybody, genuinely one of my favorite things every year is to hear directly from you. So we really do genuinely appreciate it. Once more, we will reiterate, when we send out the post-cruise survey, we know it can be long. First we're working on ways to make it a little shorter in various ways, but we really do appreciate your taking the time to fill that out. It is one of the most valuable things you can do.
And your input here is going to influence what goes in the survey, so thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here.